You're watching for Jaspo TV, Haitian American Television on the Move, Channel 18.9, Miami, Broward, Channel 11.4, Palm Beach, and the Treasure Coast.
Real talk.
Welcome to Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre-LOUIS. I am DERLINE Pierre-LOUIS. I want to thank you for your support, for streaming, listening, watching, and sharing Real Talk with all your friends and family members. We thank you. We're airing every day at this time so that way you don't miss it. You can program it, lock it in, so that way you can catch all of our special guests that we have on Real Talk. I'll be right back.
Bookkeeping, payroll, taxes. When these critical business services are well managed, you'll better manage your workload. At Economic Solution Services, our firm provides top-notch professional accounting services, business consulting services, and back-end management to small business owners. Whether you're a sole proprietorship, corporation, or nonprofit, call us for high-level customer service, guaranteed results, competitive pricing, and a dynamic business relationship. Schedule your free consultation today.
Welcome back to Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre-LOUIS. I am DERLINE Pierre-LOUIS. I want to thank you for your support. Without you, I'd be talking by myself, with myself, which is not a problem because I'll do that anyways. But it's better if I'm talking with someone or if I'm talking to someone, because we can interact and we can share ideas and we can grow from our conversations. So Real Talk is about you, my guests, and what we talk about is based on what you want to talk about. So you're the barometer of where this conversation goes. So if you ever feel like you would like to be a part of our show and you'd like to be a guest, feel free to reach us at the number below the screen, and we will schedule a day and time for you to come meet us. But today, I have a guest. My guest is someone very special. She'll tell you how we met. And she'll tell you why she's here. And I want to thank her for showing up, looking fabulous. And in a short period of time, I sent out an invitation. She answered my invitation, and here we are. Welcome, Jo-ANN, to Real Talk. How are you?
Darlene. I'm honored to be invited.
You're welcome. Welcome to my living room.
Thank you. I love it. I love the chairs.
And I didn't even tell you anything. You haven't seen any of my shows, and you were my color.
I wore your color. I didn't know.
That's because it's meant to be,
Yep.
Okay?
We were meant to be the other day.
Yes.
I said
yes.
somebody upstairs had his hand on us meeting because
it was well orchestrated.
Normally we would not have met.
Not only that, so normally I'm not standing around in the lobby
Right.
like that.
And normally I'm not sitting there
That's
waiting,
true.
for an appointment. So
That's true.
it just was fake that we met. We actually met while I was waiting for my accountant to sign my taxes. And Darlene was actually waiting for a customer.
Yes.
And I just happened to compliment her shoes. And
Oh.
the next thing we got into 15 other conversations over your fabulous shoes you had on.
Thank you. She speaks my language. You guys know I like shoes.
Yeah, she had some beautiful shoes on. I don't know how she could walk in them all day, but she had some beautiful shoes on. Those are shoes I used to wear when I was in my younger days.
In your younger days, yeah,
Yes.
we'll get to that
Yeah,
because
my
you are
younger
looking fabulous.
Thank you.
I would wish we would do a live show and have people call in and guess your age.
And guess my age.
Oh,
they don't usually guess
They wouldn't
my
guess
age.
it.
No,
They wouldn't
they
guess
always
it.
guess a lot younger.
Of course.
You know.
That's because you do what? What do you do to stay this fabulous?
I take care of my health,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really proud that at my age, when I go to a doctor, and they're like, well, what medicines do you take? And I tell them the one medicine I take, which is like, I'm not going to die if I don't take it. And they're like, what else? I'm like, do I have to take something else? They're like, well, no, but most people your age take other things.
Like
I'm
15, 20.
well, I don't take anything else because I take care of myself through
Yes.
proper nutrition,
Yes.
exercise,
Yes.
getting enough sleep.
Yes.
trying not to get stressed in the
Yes.
world we live in, you
Yeah,
know, but
you control what
maybe,
you can.
maybe I'll do some meditation, you know,
Yes.
which my sister-in-law just got me into, and it
Good.
can be just 5 minutes and you feel so different.
But you didn't tell them the number one medicine that you take.
The number one medicine I take?
The one you shared with me in the lobby. Your personality.
Was it,
oh
my personality.
God.
I was going to say, was it love?
Oh, love. Oh, that'll work too.
I keep looking for the right one for that.
Yeah,
you know?
we'll work on that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
We'll work on that together.
Yes.
What I liked with you and your energy is that we had just met.
Yeah.
And I sat next to you and we were talking for like 15, 20 minutes, like we've known each other for
Like we
decades.
were sisters, you know, like we knew everything about each other, your mother and my
Oh my
family,
God.
and you know, and it was just, when you can have that connection with someone, you remain friends forever.
Yes.
You know, you really do. And in my business world, okay, which I'll mention
Which
that
we'll
in a
talk
minute,
about.
yep,
Mhm.
most of my business world is that way.
Yes.
Okay, it is association, it's personality, you know, it's referrals, it's,
Yes.
you know, it's not what you know, it's how
Yes.
you connect with people.
And people don't care about what you know.
Right.
Until they know who you are.
And how much
you
care.
care.
We
Yes,
have to
yes,
say,
yes.
oh, we're going to get along great.
Who says that though?
I don't remember
know
who
a lot of
said it,
quotes.
but I
So
love
you're
that
like
quote.
me, I know a lot of quotes.
I love that
but
quote. I can
can't
never remember who said
Yeah.
them, you know. And I figured, well, it's not important who said them as long as I remember
You
them.
remember them because it made an impact.
Yep.
So whatever the person's goal was who said that, he or she wanted us to know that, and we know it.
Yes.
And we repeat it together.
You know, like the ones where, you know, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression.
Yes.
You know, we
Yes.
could have blown our whole relationship
Yes.
in 20 seconds in just
Yes.
meeting each other.
Yes, yes.
You know,
And
but-
then that other young lady I was talking to that was so lost in her book.
Yes. She was totally lost in that.
So in case you all don't know this side of me, I don't know a stranger. And my mother tells me ever since I was a little girl, I've been that way. So this is me.
Yep.
I will talk to any and everybody. I feel like it costs you nothing to just say hello to someone.
It doesn't.
To smile. You don't know what people are going through. And nowadays it's so stressful. So JO-ANN.
It is very stressful.
So now that we know your number one medicine,
Mhm.
besides the meditation, besides the exercise and taking good care of your health, not just your physical health, your mental health
mental
and
health,
emotional
yeah.
health.
Yep,
Because I know you have a lot of great positive people in your life.
I do.
And the ones that are not so positive, you take them with a grain of salt and keep it moving.
It's very true. couldn't be more true.
And that's why at your age, you're still looking this fabulous and you take no medication whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I know your doctors are flabbergasted. They're just like blown away, aren't they?
Yeah, because you know, people way younger than I am have a giant list of medication, and then they have another list to counteract that medication, and then
Yes.
another list to you know, it's
There's so many side effects.
Yep.
You have a headache and you take one pill and 15 other side effects. I'd rather deal with the headache.
right.
If it's not going to kill me,
It's
I'd deal
true.
with the headache. So let's talk about you. Who is JO-ANN? Fabulous diva JO-ANN. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yes.
How do you want me to explain that?
Well, let's start with, you have siblings.
I don't. I had one sibling,
Okay.
and my sibling meant the world to me, and we lost him. He was in the television business. He was,
Oh, that's what you're telling
He was
me
an
about.
entertainer. He
Okay.
was everything. He did
Oh.
everything. There wasn't anything he didn't or couldn't do. He had a bucket list 25 miles long, and they gave him 2 years to live, and he lived 4. He had to make his bucket list longer.
Okay.
And my brother did things like did the biography of Howard Stern, which was his idol.
Oh my
He was a
God.
video editor. He played drums with Todd Rundgren, who
What?
was his idol.
I'm going
And he
to research
crawled
him.
across a field at Woodstock in the mud to play drums with Todd Rundgren. And we have a giant 11 by 14 of him playing drums with Todd Rundgren. You know,
Do you know what I'm hearing?
everything he ever wanted, he accomplished.
That's what I'm
Yep.
hearing. I'm hearing that he did not live vicariously through anybody.
Nope.
He lived
We
his
lived
life.
through him. He wanted to become a technician with the
What is
Grucci
that?
family. Do fireworks for the 4th of July parade, Macy's parade. My brother became an authentic pyrotechnic with the Grucci family, the famous fireworks family, and
For
he
the
did the
Macy's
Macy's 4th of July fireworks.
Oh my God, that
Like
is
who
so
does
awesome.
that?
He
First of all,
does.
who wants to do it,
He
and then
did.
who does it?
He did.
You know,
he did.
He wanted
did
to
it.
accomplish it.
He did want to do it. He did it.
He
And
married his girlfriend from when they were 13. They got married when they were 21.
Oh my
They
God.
couldn't have children, and suddenly they were late 40s and had a child, and named him Harley Davidson. My brother never rode a motorcycle. Davidson was a family name. Yeah. And I have the most amazing nephew. So I have no siblings, but I have many people that are like siblings.
Oh.
You know, that you
And
pick
you just
and
added
choose.
me.
I
Yeah.
just added you on.
Listen,
Yeah.
the family you pick, I've heard this saying, and you probably can finish it for me. We don't pick the family we're born into,
Nope.
but
not
we can
always.
pick the family we're around.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, oh my
Absolutely.
God, now I wish I had met your brother.
Yeah.
Darn it.
My brother was fabulous, and there's so many days I just want to go to the phone and pick him up. You know,
Oh.
whenever there was a song, well, he was an entertainer. You know,
Mhm.
so whenever there's a song played, I used to call my brother and go, "Who recorded this?" And now I can't call him and do that. You know,
Oh.
we went on a family cruise and they named that tune, and my brother would
Oh, he
know
would've
every
won.
song.
He
And this is
would've
how he
won.
went. He won every song. He went Hal Blaine on drums, and then he went Hal. Most people don't know who Hal Blaine is. Look up Hal Blaine. Hal Blaine was the person that was the drummer or the background for every rock song, Beatles,
Oh,
the
wow.
Everly Brothers, the Beach Boys, the every
So he
you know
was a
state.
directory.
Yeah, we have a very musical family.
I see. So what's your musical talent?
I sing and I
You
pretend
do.
I play the piano.
You pretend you play the piano. I like
Pretend.
that.
I try, but you know. I mean,
Well,
in
it's never
church,
too
people
late.
are always grabbing me, going, "Oh my goodness, you blessed us with your beautiful voice." And I said it was a gift from God because
Aw.
everybody in my family is musically talented.
That's so cool.
And when my son got married, you know how people dance with their mother?
Yeah, he
My
was
son
singing.
hated to dance.
Oh.
So I went to a music teacher and
Uh-huh.
learned how to sing this song, a song for my son on his wedding. And
Aw.
I thought my son was going to fall over when I sat there singing to him. He was like, "Are you really singing that, Mom?"
Oh
You
my
know?
God. It was a song that he liked, right?
No, well, he didn't even know it. It was just a song appropriate for
For
a
the
mother to
wedding.
sing to her son.
Oh.
My brother found it for
Of
me.
course your brother found it
He's like,
for
"Sing
you."
this song." And I asked
Aw.
my daughter-in-law, I said, "I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to sing it.
Is
If
it
you're
okay?
embarrassed, I
Yes.
won't do it because it's your
Okay,
wedding."
yeah, it is
She's
her-
like, "No, Mom, do it. It's
Was she
great." You know,
crying?
Yes. Yes.
That is so awesome.
But, you know, he didn't like to dance, and I knew that.
That's
And it's
okay.
his wedding, so I wanted to be something that he was proud of and remembered.
Aw,
Yeah.
You're such a great mom.
I try.
And that's all you can do.
I try. You
Be
do
the
your
best
best.
version of yourself.
You do the best you can.
Be the best
You don't
version
always
of
do the
yourself.
right thing, but you try.
So then you became an only child.
Yeah, now I'm an only child.
You're an only
Yeah.
child. Where are your parents?
My parents are passed away, you
Okay.
know, long passed away.
Mhm.
They passed away like 25 years ago,
Okay.
you know. But my brother died at a young age, 66 years old.
Wow.
You know, today that's very
That's
young.
very young, yeah.
Very young,
Very
you
young.
know.
So I know you like to travel.
I love to travel. Travel
So
is
you want to
a
talk
good
about some of the places
Some of
you've
my
been,
careers.
Some of your careers, yes.
One of my career, while I had my long-term career, my
Mhm.
short-term career,
Mhm.
I was a flight attendant.
Yes.
Something
yes,
every
yes.
woman wants to be.
Yes.
And I never thought I would do it. I actually
Why?
did it because I needed the health insurance. My husband had to have heart surgery.
Mhm.
And in my business, I had business owner health insurance, group
Mhm.
of one.
But it was
And
for you,
Suddenly, well, it was group of one. I held it for my husband and I.
Okay.
And then suddenly, the government decided you couldn't be a group of one. You had
With
to have employees.
employees, yeah.
But I'm self-employed, so I didn't
Yes,
have
so
employees.
you didn't have employees.
So I'm like, what am I going to do now?
Oh
So,
my
you know,
God.
getting medicine from other countries, getting
Yes.
samples from doctors. This
Yes.
isn't working. Spending a
Yes.
ton of
Oh my
money.
God.
And I said, okay, this isn't going to work. And my
So
son
you
kept
became a
saying,
flight
Mom,
attendant?
you have to apply. It's all
Yes.
you. The customer
You love
service.
travel, yes,
you,
customer
you know,
service.
your personality.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I loved it.
I'm
Was
glad you
there
listened to him.
16 years. He said, I'm going to get you the princess job. Because he worked the
Oh.
ground crew. He goes, I'm going
Okay.
to get you the princess job, the flight
Oh.
attendant job.
And so name a few countries that you went to.
Oh, Spain, France, Dominican Republic, Peru, Colombia, a lot. I've been
Yes.
to a lot of places.
Yes.
And I didn't really fly to go to places. I flew to go to people because I had already been to a lot of those places.
Mhm.
So
I
I
remember you
fly
saying that,
more
yeah.
to see people.
Yes.
And I
And
found
their
out I was going to be a
culture.
grandmother. So I didn't want to
Ooh.
move where they live.
Yes.
You know, so I'm like, wow. And I never missed a thing. Didn't miss a
Aw.
soccer game, a
Aw.
ballet, a birthday party, a Halloween trick or treat.
So you orchestrated your schedule around,
Around
what
the
was
family,
happening.
right.
I love that.
Around the family. It's like, let's see what's going on this month. Oh, trick or treat. Okay, well, there's a layover there. I can go as a flight attendant to the Halloween party.
I
you know.
love that. I love that.
I went in the class and did, as a flight
career
attendant,
day,
career
day. Oh, I like
took
that.
an airplane
Yes.
with me,
Oh, I know
the kids
they
were
love
very
that.
proud,
They
the
love
grandkids, they loved that.
Oh my God.
So.
You know what I'm hearing is, I know you love your brother, and I say love present,
Absolutely.
because you know how
Yes.
I feel about that.
Yeah.
And you are living your life. You're not living vicariously.
No.
You're doing what you love. You
My
did what
husband
you
passed.
love. You're doing what you love, and your husband
And
passed.
he would not have had me stagnant.
Good.
In fact, he pulled a dirty trick on me.
Are you gonna tell the trick
in
that
front
you told
of my
me?
children? He told my children. He told me,
Uh-huh.
"I do not want you to be alone." And I said, "No, I won't
I'm
be
not
alone.
gonna be alone. I have
The
my kids."
kids will be here." He goes, "I don't mean that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't want you to be alone." And he was really near the end,
Yeah.
And
He
I
knew.
didn't want to upset him. I'm
Mhm.
like, "I'm not sure what you." He said, "I don't want you to be alone." I said, "You want me to get married again?" He goes, "You don't have to marry anybody, but I don't want you staying by yourself."
Oh.
And he said it in front of my kids so that they regularly remind me. If I'm going on a date, I have a whole plan.
Yes.
My son doesn't even live in the state, but he knows where I am,
Of course.
where I'm going,
Yes.
the guy's phone number,
Yes.
when I'm expected
Yes.
home.
So how did they feel about you just meeting a total stranger in your accountant's lobby?
Well, when I said, told them that okay, Mom, they know that I'm careful.
Yes.
As
Yes.
any woman today should
Yes,
be. It's
yes.
not what it was when
Back
I was
in-
much younger.
Mhm.
We talked one day about girls that used to take rides in guys' cars and just got in anybody's car,
Back
and,
in the days it was
right,
safe.
and nobody thought anything of it.
Men protected you.
Yep. So they know where I am. My neighbors know where I am, and they watch
Okay.
for my car. And if I'm not home by the time I think I'm going to be home, they call my
They
son,
call your son. Oh my goodness.
and he would call the police.
Oh damn.
So it's okay.
But
You
you
know.
have that accountability, and I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think I'm soon going to be an empty nester,
Hmm.
and
And it's lonely.
I'm thinking about myself, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever been alone.
Do you know, it's funny you say that, because I realized when my husband died, it was
Yeah.
the first time I ever lived alone.
Yes.
I got married out of my parents' house
Me
when I was
too.
young, divorced when I
Yes,
was young, but I
yes.
had already 2 kids.
Me too.
Then I shared a house with my girlfriend, and she had 2 kids. Wasn't alone. Then I met my husband
Mhm.
and lived with him for almost 40 years. And
Yes.
now the kids were gone,
Yes.
and now he was gone.
Oh my goodness.
And I had never lived alone.
What did you do?
I was
The first
I
couple
was
of days.
okay, because sometimes people say, "Oh, I couldn't even go in the door," but he was in the hospital so many times the last year.
And
of
you
his
were
life,
in the house by yourself.
and he was
a
in the
lot.
hospital.
Yeah.
So I was in the house alone,
Yeah.
and I did have a dog. Then the dog passed.
Oh my
okay?
goodness. Everybody's leaving.
So it was like, okay, my kids are like, "Mom, you should come with us." It was during COVID.
Oh.
So they're like, "You should come and stay with us for a little while."
Mhm.
And I thought I was going to stay with them for 2 weeks, which
Mhm.
turned out to be like almost
COVID
3
was
months,
crazy,
because
yeah.
I took the dog with me.
Yes.
And then I'm like, I've got to go home sooner or
Yes.
later. I've got a
Yes.
house. The house has
Yes.
to be cared for.
Yes.
I have a business.
Yes.
And I was running my business from their house because
Okay.
everything then was on Zoom.
Zoom, yes, that's true.
I couldn't do the personal
We're in the
one-on-one.
Zoom world.
So everything I did in my
How
business.
did you adapt with the Zoom?
Well, they already. Can I say the name of the company?
We'll get to that.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yes.
But the company that I was
Yes.
working with, okay,
Mhm.
had already gone into online Zoom
Oh,
presence.
good.
So they were ahead of the game
Oh,
before COVID ever
smart.
hit. When COVID hit, they were extremely smart. They hired a gentleman, Scott Kramer,
Mhm.
who has a company,
Mhm.
who sets everything up. So he did this program in our computer, and all we had to do was copy and paste, copy and paste,
I
copy
love
and
it, I
paste,
love
copy
it, I
and
love
paste,
it, I
put it
love
on
it.
Facebook,
Systems,
put it on
systems,
Instagram, put it on,
systems.
so I was suddenly doing phenomenally with all these Zoom parties.
Yes.
And I'm like, but wait a minute. So I did so well that the company hired me, not hired
I know.
financially,
Uh-huh.
but sought me out to train people on our yearly training on the Zoom. And I'm like, me? I didn't really know a lot about it before.
But you paid
they said, but
attention.
you're doing so well
You
at
followed
it.
his system.
Yep.
And that's all we ask for.
Yep.
If there's a system in place, look at it, study it,
Follow
master it, follow
Right.
it.
I tried to pass that along to my coworkers, but they don't always catch on.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. That's not your job to make them understand. Your job is to
I
relay
just-
the message.
Yeah, I wish that they would follow more, because I'm
Because
a
they would
great
make more money.
example
Yes,
for
they
them.
would make more money
Right,
too.
you need money.
Mhm.
You don't have a lot of time.
Mhm.
You have a
Capitalize.
need.
Capitalize.
Here it is. I'm
Yes.
putting it in front of you.
Yes.
They don't
So
all
you
catch on.
left your son and your daughter-in-law's house, and you went back home.
Right. I was
How
at my
was it?
daughter's house, but my son lives 3 blocks away, so they were all.
Oh, they were
it's
close.
very convenient for
Okay,
me when
I
I
like
travel.
that.
It's like one-stop shopping.
Okay,
You
I
know,
like
they're
that.
all there.
I like that.
It
So,
wasn't too
how
bad
was
when
it?
I went home because I kept myself extremely busy.
Okay.
I'm very active in my church.
Mhm.
I'm very active in my neighborhood.
Yes.
Very active with
And
my
your
job.
business, too,
So
yeah.
this way, you know, I had a lot that was going on. Then
Mhm.
I started dating someone. Yeah. Okay.
You started dating.
My kids laughed.
They laughed,
They laughed.
but they heard the okay.
They laughed.
They heard what your husband said.
Yes, but I'll tell you why they left. I wasn't sleeping very well for a while.
Okay.
And every time I would talk to them, I'd say, wow, I'm not sleeping. I'm up every day at 4 o'clock. So then they were there for Christmas that year. And we're eating Christmas dinner. And my son stands up, and I had just told them I was dating someone and who I was dating.
Okay.
And they knew the person because
Oh,
it's
okay.
someone that I knew for 65 years.
Oh wow.
Okay, that I went to school with.
Okay. So it wasn't a stranger. So that's
Right, he's
good.
not a stranger. So my son stands up at the table and he says, so you're not sleeping because you have a boyfriend? And he starts laughing and walks away from the table.
Oh my God.
I'm like, where did that come from? My son never says anything. He's the quietest person. Like, you would never expect that to come out of his mouth.
But he was processing
He
it
was
in his
processing
head.
what I had said the week before, you know. And he's like,
And so he put the two together. It's
"Oh,
like, that's
I
why
get
you're
it
not
now."
sleeping. Okay.
Yeah, my grandchildren thought it was fabulous.
Of course.
What
So
can I say?
let's talk. So you're dating, you have your business. So what would you say besides being your personality and your energy that keeps you sane and off medicine rack?
You want to know for sure?
Of course,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
If it's a bad day, what do? Turn on Barry Manilow.
Ooh, okay.
Because I have been a Fanilow since you
Okay.
didn't even know his name.
Yes.
Since 1972,
Oh
when
my
he was
God.
playing piano for Bette Midler in the Continental
I know Bette
Baths.
Midler. Oh my
I have
God.
seen him on Broadway. I have seen his
So
play.
that's your
I
love.
have his book.
That's
I've
your
seen him
love.
several times in Vegas.
Oh my
I've seen him
God.
27 times. I've been started when my husband first took me to see him. The very first time we were in the nosebleed section.
Okay.
He said not that we were sitting high, but the pigeons got mad at us. Okay? And we've been as low down as front row
Oh my
mezzanine.
God,
I've taken my
congrats.
grandchildren, each of them separately to
Oh
see
my
him. I
God.
took my
They
great
like him?
aunt. Oh, they do now.
Okay.
They didn't know they like him. My daughter and I went several times. Best friends and I. My
Okay.
great aunt. I took my godmother for her 90th birthday.
Oh my
They were having a
God.
surprise 90th birthday for her, and my cousins are like,
What do
"Yeah,
we do
don't
with
get
her?"
her any gifts." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Don't be ridiculous. It's
I
her
have to give
90th
her-
birthday."
yes.
So I said to all my cousins, "What do you give to a 90-year-old woman?" Well, she doesn't want a 90-year-old man. So what are we going to give her? So her daughter calls me up and says, Barry is playing up here at Turning Stone Casino.
Oh my
It's
God.
only like a half an hour from my house.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, well, somebody should take your mom. I wonder who would do that.
You're
So I
so
had all
silly.
my cousins chip in for an Airbnb
Oh my
for the
God.
casino
Oh
because
my
she
God.
loves to gamble, my
Oh, she
90-year-old
does.
aunt.
Okay.
And the tickets. And I took her, and front row mezzanine, she was like, her mouth was open. Okay. She's like, I had no idea he was this talented. And then I took her to the Airbnb, and she's like, could we live here? I said, for a day.
For a day.
We can live here for
We
a
have
day.
1 day pass.
It was adorable. There was
Oh
a
my
little
God.
breakfast place in the
Oh
front,
my
and it had a big
God.
porch in the back. It was like one of those
Oh.
little towns you see. It was upstate New York. One of
Okay.
those little towns where they have the gazebo in the park.
Okay.
She had the best time.
Oh my
Just
God.
watching her, I had the best time.
Of course you did,
know.
because I know, like, people like you and I, we get our fire, we get our energy, we get our high from having other people smile,
Yep,
putting
we
smiles
do.
on other people's faces.
Yep.
And in the process of that, we're having a good
Yeah.
time, we're smiling.
So when it's a bad day for
Oh,
me,
Jo-Ann.
my kids were little,
Mhm.
and my daughter would say to my son, let's put Mommy's Barry music on because that makes her happy.
Oh, that's so nice that
Because
they knew that.
they knew. Well, then it was, vinyl.
Okay,
You
I
know?
know. I know.
They went and put the
We had
vinyl
vinyl,
on.
we had 8-track. My
Yeah.
mother still had 8 tracks.
And it was just phenomenal. I just saw
Oh.
him in September in Vegas.
He's still performing?
I actually got to speak to him in the elevator.
Oh my
Darlene,
God!
I thought I died and went to heaven, and I'm so stupid. I had my phone in my hand.
And you didn't do a selfie?
And my guy said to me, if you see him, take a picture. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I will. The phone was in my hand. He came out of the penthouse elevator, and he was going into the elevator wherever he had to go. And I'm going to the pool. I walk out, and I'm like, Barry! And I talked to him like I knew him, like he was my best friend. And he turned around and talked to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're like right there. I said, this is my 27th time to see you. I said, you got me through several really serious illnesses in the last couple of years. And he goes, but look at you, you look great. I said, thank you. He goes, I'm so glad that you're healthy and you're here. I said, me too, that makes two of us. And before I knew it, they were like pulling him to go in the elevator. And I'm like, I didn't even get a picture.
Oh.
So then the little girl in the gift shop, I told her that I saw him.
Yes.
She goes, he's going to be down here any minute.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's coming. He goes right in that door to go to rehearsal.
See, that's why we
She
talk
goes,
to strangers,
She
see?
says, just hang around
Oh my
here.
God, that's
so
so
I got
cool.
my phone ready, and I have a picture of him, not with him because he
But
was
that's
with
okay.
his manager, and they were
That's
kind of
okay.
like walking quickly.
That's
But he
okay.
was like as far away
We
as you are
believe you.
twice in
We
the same
believe
day.
you.
Yeah, people said to me, well, you don't have a picture with him. You don't really have any
We
proof
believe
you
you.
spoke
We don't
to him.
care. We
I said,
don't
would
care.
I lie about speaking to Barry?
Please, you don't need to do that. We believe
So that's what, that's my thing. I turn on the Barry music, I sing really loud.
you sing like nobody's listening.
Right.
You dance like nobody's
watching.
I love it. I love it.
We know a lot of the same lines.
I'm taking
You would think we
pages.
knew each other for a very long time.
It's our soul.
Yep.
It's the soul. It's the connection.
But you can't listen. I don't care who you are, if you like his music or not. You can't listen to his songs and the words to his
No,
songs
that's what I said.
and
The
not
words.
feel good about
the words. The
it.
words.
Because his songs sing to everybody.
They're therapy.
Yep.
They're therapeutic words.
His
that you
songs
need.
sing to everybody out there.
Oh my God.
Whether you're young, old, married, single, male, female, whatever. He's got some great songs.
So you and I started talking, and we said you're dating,
Mhm.
and I said I need to start dating.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice do you have for?
Find a reputable site.
Okay.
Okay.
Reputable site.
Reputable site. Don't pick up any guy off the street or in the local bar. Not a good idea. Okay.
Reputable site. and-
The first, I speak a few times on the phone if I see
Mhm.
somebody I
That's
like.
my thing. Yeah.
Okay. Because texting you can't tell anything.
No.
I always meet them in a public place.
Mhm.
I drive myself.
Yes.
Okay. Someone knows where I'm going
Yes.
at all times.
And in your case, it's your son,
My son,
maybe
my
your
two
daughter,
neighbors.
your neighbors.
Yeah, my two neighbors. Now my
The FBI.
my grandson's older, so he knows
he's,
too now.
he's involved now too. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just you have to be careful about what you do these
Yeah,
days. You
yeah,
can't
that's true.
just it's not
People
the
are not
60s.
like they were back in the days.
No. And I've met some very nice guys. I'm not going out with the guy I was going out with for
Okay,
a while.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because sometimes you realize that you come into people's life for a season.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes just like you and I, we met, we feel like we've known each other forever.
Yep.
This may go until the end of either one of our lives.
Yes.
And then it may stop. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because the moments that we're spending together are going to be quality time.
Right.
We're going to be genuinely ourselves
Yep.
when we're together. And that's what I feel like a lot of times people don't do. They feel like they have to put on this front and send their representatives.
Right.
And believe it or not, if you have a job after the 90-day probation period, they don't know who you are.
Right. They don't know who you are.
They're
It's
going to
true.
see your true self.
It's true.
And-
And I know a lot of people like that in my life that have come in and out of my life.
Mhm.
But I managed to stay close to people to the point of where if we don't talk to each other,
Oh, yeah.
we pick up.
Yeah.
Last weekend,
Yes.
girlfriend of mine for 50 years.
Yes.
We have a lot of little, two friends of mine. We all got married for the second time the same year.
Okay.
All of our husbands had birthdays October 22nd,
Oh my
October 30th,
God.
23rd,
Oh my
October 24th. They've all three of them have passed.
Oh.
And I'm going to tell her on the phone the other day that I'm going to D.C.
Mhm.
She says, I'm going to D.C.
Oh my
She lives
God.
upstate New York. I live in Florida.
You're
I
coming from
said,
two
where are you
opposite
going?
ends.
She said, well, I'm meeting her daughter and son-in-law and two grandchildren. They're coming for spring break to D.C.
Mhm.
And I said, when are you going? She said, Friday. I said, I'm going Friday. So I said, okay, I'll call you Saturday. Okay, so we called. We ended up meeting up Sunday. We went to the National Cathedral for Palm
you were
Sunday
telling me
Mass.
about that, yes.
It was incredible. We walked with the pageant parade, with the bishop and everything.
Oh, my
and the
God.
way they had the church set up, if you walked in the pageant, you got to sit in one of the first couple of rows.
Oh, nice.
It was beautiful. We saw all the singers, and it was like, you know, like, we don't see each other
You
that
could have
often,
been
but we
planning if you
no,
wanted
we
to.
could not have.
Oh my
We could-
God, that's
and
so
that's the
awesome.
kind of thing we always do.
Yes,
You know,
that's
it's like, where are you
awesome.
going to be? I think I'm going to be there too. You
Oh
know,
my God. And then you
I-
just
and I
connect.
have a lot of friends
like
like
that.
that.
I like
don't
that.
see them all the time. We have big families. We have other responsibilities.
And it's
But when we
okay.
see each other, we're like our
Like
long
no
lost
time
sister.
has
Like
passed.
it was yesterday.
No time
Yep.
has passed.
Absolutely.
That's the kindred soul.
I literally ran into a friend of mine in the middle of Manhattan one day.
Ooh.
Smack into the middle of Manhattan. I mean, like, Manhattan's a big place.
It is.
You know.
Of all the places you
Yep.
could have been in Manhattan.
Yep.
So you made mention several times about your business.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about your business? How you got into the business?
I would love to tell you about my
Yes,
business
please
because it's
tell
a
me.
business everybody should know.
Okay.
The first thing I'm going to say is that I'm a manager for Tupperware home parties,
Mhm.
which is not out of business.
I know a lot of people
If
think it's out of
someone
business.
told you that we went out of business, they didn't tell you the truth. If you read a headline that said we were out of business, you needed to read the whole headline. Okay? We had some difficulty after COVID when people
Yes.
started traveling all over. We were
Yes.
sailing high when everybody was home during
Yes.
COVID. So we were bought out by a finance company.
Okay.
And we started with zero debt as a brand new Tupperware party.
Nice.
You know,
Zero
we
debt
do
is
the
good.
parties.
Mhm.
We're still getting people in business. It's a phenomenal career. How I started, my daughter was 2,
Mhm.
and we lived in a neighborhood where there weren't any little kids. And she
Oh.
hung on my leg all day.
Of course.
And I needed to find the best preschool in town.
Oh.
So I went and I sought out the preschool, but at that time it was $35 a week for 2 days.
And that was
on
a lot for
bus
you, right?
With hot lunch. You can think how long ago that was. I didn't
Yes.
have $35, nor did I have any place to dig it up from.
Yes.
And what was I doing? I was shampooing heads in my mother's beauty salon.
Okay.
I had been an architectural draftsman for a city planning firm in Manhattan. I did
remember
urban renewal
that.
projects for the city of New York. And when I
Yes,
told them
yes,
that my
yes.
husband and I were having a baby and I was going to need some time off, they said, well, you can go home now. We don't need you. I said, excuse me? What do you
So
mean?
let's repeat this.
They sent me home. There was no Family Leave Act.
There's no Family Leave Act,
Back
but you
then.
had been with them how many years?
Oh no, I had just been there like a year and a half.
Okay.
I was young, very
Okay.
young, you know, just starting out. But there was no protection of women,
Yeah.
you know.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, at least we had anyway.
Oh, we're regressing?
We're not going there.
Are we regressing?
Well, we're not going there. It
Okay.
depends on which side of the street you're on.
Yeah.
Okay? So anyway,
Yeah,
I
so-
went to a Tupperware party. A friend invited me.
Mhm.
I had this 2-year-old. Her
Mhm.
dad was home. I said, "You've got her now. I'm
Yes.
going to talk to adult people
Yes,
that are bigger
women,
than 2
yes.
feet tall."
2 feet tall.
And at the end of this party, these ladies were eating homemade cake on china plates and drinking tea and coffee. And the lady that did the party was very smart. God made her do this, I swear. She said, "Is there anybody here that can use $35 for what I just did?" And I went, and my girlfriend pulled my arm down. She
Yeah.
said, "What are you doing?"
Yes, you don't know
I said,
anything about this.
I'm going to sell Tupperware." She said, "Don't say that." I said, "Why not? She looks like she's having a good time."
Yes.
She says, "You probably have to carry things." I'm like, "They're plastic." Besides, her husband carried them in.
Yes.
Right? I was not stupid.
Yes, you're watching.
She says, "You
observe
probably
it."
have to sign things." What could you sign? I said, "I'll find out." So, and I was very shy at that time. I was this JO-ANN De Lorenzo sitting here was not that JO-ANN De Lorenzo.
But that
Ever.
JO-ANN back then, shy as she was, needed 35.
I needed $35, okay, to
It
go
had
to
to
Big
be
Chief
orchestrated.
Nursery
It had
School.
to be orchestrated.
I didn't know any of these
But
women.
it had to be orchestrated.
By
Think about
God.
it. Yes.
Yeah, but not by them.
She
I
could
didn't
have
know
said
them.
$15, $20, but
She could have said,
$35.
How did she even know? The woman that I went to her house didn't know.
Exactly. You didn't tell anybody.
So my friend said, "Listen, don't say you want to sell Tupperware. Just say you'll have a party or something." I said, "Okay." But that woman saw my hand go up.
yes, she remembered.
She was like white on rice.
Yes.
Okay, she just was like not
Gravitated
letting
to
it
you,
go.
yes.
She came right at me and she said, "Oh, I saw you might want to sell." I said, "No, that I had a twitch." What did I say? This woman saw my arm go up.
Yes.
So she says, "Oh, well, you'd like to have a party?" I said, "Well, maybe I'll just do a party. I can
Yeah.
invite a couple of friends." So I
Yes.
go home. We're living in a 2-family house, my parents' house,
Mhm.
upstairs. And I said to my mother, "I'm going to sell Tupperware." And she said, where? And I said, what do you
Here.
mean, in my apartment? She said, no, you're not. I said, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to have a Tupperware party. She said, you're not having a party here. That's a disgrace. I said, what? She said, you don't ask family and friends to buy things in your home. I said, Mom, it's a party. You have parties all the time. But I don't ask anybody to buy anything. So now I go upstairs and I tell
You're deflated.
that was my present husband at
Yes.
the time, I think I'm going to do Tupperware. He goes, I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't want to hear it. Do what you want. I don't want to be involved.
Oh,
Well, he didn't
wow.
want to be involved in anything, so why would he want to be involved in
Involved in
that?
that, uh-huh.
Okay. I'm deflated again.
So your girlfriend deflated, busted your bubble. You could make $35 to put your baby in daycare.
She needed to go to school.
I
She was
know.
brilliant. She needed to
Yes.
go to daycare.
Yes.
You know, there was nobody to keep her
Gosh,
occupied.
I feel you.
So, all right, so I'm going, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, so I can't have the Tupperware party. What am I going to do? So my mother said, well, if you have it, I'm not coming up. Great, okay. So I date the Tupperware party, and I invite my friends. My best friend in high school, who's still my best friend, like my
Oh,
sister
nice.
today, she says to me, oh, I wouldn't use that stuff. What?
When you
She said, but you have babies, and you know, it doesn't, you know, won't break, and it's
Yes.
not glass. And she,
Yes.
oh, I wouldn't use that. Okay, great. So she's not coming. So I call another friend, and she's going to come, but then get sick at the last minute. Okay. My mother won't come upstairs. I
Yes.
start inviting people. I end up with 2 people. The party average at that point was $85. My party was $17.
Oh, wow.
It's not even enough for
No,
the first
for
week of school if I made 100% of the
Yes.
money.
Yes.
So I'm like, what am I going to do? So the lady says, well, when you have 6 parties, you can get your starter kit. 6 parties? I couldn't get 6 people to come here. How am I going to get 6 parties? So I figure, I don't know. I start calling a couple of people, and you know, I'm getting shot down and shot down and shot down.
You're getting
She
a
says-
lot of no's.
She says, all right, I'm going to take you friend finding. I said, what's
Friend
friend
finding?
finding? She said, we're going to knock on doors. I said, strangers' doors? Not me. I'm not knocking on
She
any
didn't know
stranger's
shy
door.
Jo-Ann, huh?
No, I'm not knocking on a stranger's door. She says, you don't have to say a word. I know you already put Serene in school, because my mother gave me the first $35.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so she knows my daughter's in school already.
Yes.
She says, you just come with me. It's
Okay.
winter
Oh, it's cold.
in New York.
Oh, it's cold.
Okay. We knock on doors. People invite us in and offer us tea and coffee and cake and date Tupperware parties.
What?
Strangers I didn't even know. So I said, you know, I'm not really stupid. I
Yes.
said, you know what? A stranger will date a Tupperware party with me. Certainly somebody I know that might be a friend, an acquaintance, whatever, would have a Tupperware party. So I start making phone calls. It
Yes.
took me 2 months to get the first 6 parties. The
okay.
lady that recruited me had to keep giving me her kit. I go and do the second party. It's $45. I'm not getting much better, but it's
okay.
twice as much, more than twice as much I
It's
did the first
okay.
time.
Yes, ma'am.
I do the third Tupperware party, and it is $500 and 5 datings. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And the lady says to me, where do you live? And I said, Levittown. Where do you live? She said, Brooklyn. I said, oh, I don't drive there. She said, sweetheart, do you drive? I said, yes, I drive. She said, how far do you drive? I said, about 10 minutes. She said, well, just do another 10 minutes, and then another 10 minutes, and then
Smart,
another
I
10
like her.
minutes. She
I
said,
like
we
her.
all have a lot of money, and we want you to come and do Tupperware parties. You're great.
Oh my
And nobody
God.
up to this point had told me I was great
Of
at it.
course.
Okay? But I found that when I put my bread, it didn't get stale, and my
Yes.
cold cuts didn't get hard.
Yes.
I didn't even know why you needed Tupperware, because my mother didn't use
Didn't use
Tupperware.
Tupperware.
She was the margarine cup heiress.
Oh.
You know, imperial margarine.
Yes,
She used to
she used
put
those.
things in there, and they
Oh
used
my
to go
God.
bad all the time.
Of course, because it's
She didn't have Tupperware.
Okay.
So I started seeing how well it kept the food, and I started seeing how happy my daughter was in school, and I started
She had
seeing
friends.
that I liked this.
Yes.
okay? So I did those parties, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I made more and more friends, and I dated more and
Oh my
more
God.
parties.
Yes.
Excuse me. And then from Brooklyn, I was in Staten Island. And
Girl,
from
you were
Staten
really
Island,
traveling.
I was in New Jersey. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just driving 10 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes. I got so good that by the end of that first year, I was the #1 new consultant out of 500 consultants.
High
And
five.
I didn't know how that happened.
What do you mean you didn't know how that
Well,
happened?
I didn't even know what I
You
was
didn't
doing.
let the nose turn
Right,
you
and I
down.
didn't even know, really think I knew what I was doing. But I took every person, every manager,
Yes.
I went and watched them. I said, can I come and watch you do a party? Oh, we'd love you to come.
Yes.
And I took a recipe from this one, and I took a dating idea from this one,
Yes.
and I took a how they thank their hostess from
Yes.
this one, and I put it into me.
And you created your own.
And I was like, I picked out what I liked. And the lady that was my first distributor
Yes.
is 94 years old,
Oh my
Eleanor
God.
Gangler. She was my gift from heaven.
Yes.
She would call me up and say, are you busy? I'd say, no, I'm not busy. Meantime, I have one kid on one arm, one on the other. The car was running. No, I'm not busy. I have plenty of time to talk to you. Because if Eleanor called you, it was like the Pope was
Of
calling.
course.
Oh my goodness, she's calling me.
Yes.
And she would constantly tell me how good I was and how good I was getting, how good she saw me in the future. I ended up becoming a top manager. I ended up promoting 55 managers
Oh my God.
in a short period of time, recruiting people, winning a diamond necklace, winning a convertible,
Okay.
winning, when I met my husband, I won our honeymoon, which is
Ooh.
up and down the Mississippi River
Oh
from
my God.
New Orleans. It was incredible. It was
Oh
on
my
his
God.
birthday.
Oh my God.
You know, it was just so many good things kept happening.
So hold on.
What?
I need you to look into the camera.
Yes,
And I want you to inspire you. You and I met for a reason.
yes, we
But
did.
you're here on this show for another reason.
Yes.
Bigger than our meeting.
No, our meeting's very
Yes,
important.
but it's bigger than our meeting.
Yes.
Somebody's out there, maybe about to start their business or want to start a business, and they're
Or
getting
need
all
something.
those no's left and
Yeah.
right.
Or
They're
they
kicking
need to
them
do
down,
something.
or they
Okay.
need to do something. So I want you to say again to how important it is that you didn't let those no's.
No.
No from your mother.
No.
No from your husband.
My
No from your best friend.
friends.
It's all with the friend.
My friends, okay, pulling my hand down.
But
Something
most
made me
importantly,
see it.
most importantly, is Eleanor.
Eleanor was incredible. She
She-
still is incredible.
She motivated you. She inspired you, and she
Yeah.
encouraged you. She saw your greatness, and she spoke it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see people's greatness
And we don't say
speak.
anything.
So let's not be those people.
No.
Let's be an Eleanor. Look into the camera, and I want you to talk to somebody.
Whoever is out there, and maybe you don't have a direction to go, I have something I can offer you for minimal amount of money, and I have this 53 years that I'm in Tupperware
Yes.
that I can share with you to be the person you want to learn, so you can be sitting here with Darlene someday, and you can be sharing with some other young gentleman or woman, because it can be anybody, okay? And I would like to share that with you, okay? It is a big advantage to me to share with you in my heart and soul. Not so much monetarily, because
Yeah.
I get a very small percentage from my team.
Yeah.
But the feeling that I would get in helping you to succeed,
Yes.
that you can own your own business. You don't
Yes.
have to work for somebody else at
Yes.
their hours. When they tell you, the guy that let me
Yes.
go from the city planning firm, okay, what did he know? How great I could have been the best architect in the world.
He
okay?
missed out on you.
But you can be your own boss. You can be with your children. The teachers in school used to say to me, but we thought you worked. I said, I work when you need me, I'm here at school.
Yes.
And when you don't need me, I'm working.
Yes.
And one day my daughter, when my ex-husband left and my kids were on free lunch, okay, and we were the ones getting the handout.
That's okay.
And I knew I was going to make it work. And I knew God had bigger plans for me. And I heard the kids in the playground. We lived in a very wealthy neighborhood. And I heard them say, well, my dad's richer than your dad. And my mom's richer than your mom. And a boy turned around to my daughter, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. He said, your mom looks rich, and she always smiles.
Oh.
When I went to pick them up, I had makeup on, I
Yes,
had clothes on.
you gotta
It could've
look
been
the
it could've
part.
been the one shirt I owned.
Yes.
Okay. But, you know, I looked like I was professional.
Yes.
Whether I was or I wasn't.
Yes.
You know, you fake it till you make it.
Yes.
You know, and maybe I did a lot of faking it in the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing or why you needed this Tupperware stuff. We're a fabulous company. You
Yes.
can be a host, you can get yourself free products, and from there you can skyrocket, because I ended up owning my own Tupperware distributorship in Brooklyn, fought the crime, and the crime got over us, so we moved here, and I have been up to number 3 in the country. The
Nice.
girl that couldn't even speak,
Yes.
didn't even know why she should do this. Okay? Come and join me, and
But
then you'll
you
be able to
needed
meet Darlene.
$35.
I needed $35, and I made a lot of $35 along the way.
over and over and over.
28 company cars.
Oh my God.
25 luxury vacations.
Oh my goodness.
9 color TVs. I had to give them away. How many color TVs can you have? Okay. But there is a big benefit to joining a company that's been around for almost 79 years and has withstood the test of time.
So let's help people understand the importance and the benefits of Tupperware. I told you and I had a conversation. So back in the days when you bought a box of cereal,
Right.
the box was this big.
It's still that
And
big
it's
or a
still
little
this
bigger.
big,
Right?
okay? But when you open the box, there's a
Oh, there's
bag.
a bag down there
Yes,
somewhere.
there's a bag.
Somewhere there's a bag.
And then when you open the bag, so this is the box, and here's the bag, and this is how much cereal you're actually getting.
And why wouldn't you buy the cereal if it was that big, Darlene? Because
Because
nobody would pay $5
we would pay
for a
$5
box
for
that
a box that
small.
small. So they keep the box this big, and they just put less content. But that's not even the problem. The problem is when you buy this box and you bring it home,
Yep.
the cabinets, the shelving, even though
Yeah.
they have adjustable shelves now, but you can't adjust every single shelf you
Nope,
have
you
to
can't.
accommodate all these different box sizes. And after you open the plastic, even if you have the sealer
Yeah.
and you have the clip to wrap it up, it doesn't stay fresh. Once it's been exposed to that air,
Yep.
it doesn't stay
The air
fresh.
gets at it, and then you're finished.
So you have all these different size containers that keeps your products fresh. Your pasta, your bread,
Yeah.
your liquid, even liquid products. Because we would take things out of the gallon
Yeah.
and pour it into the, and
Absolutely.
the milk would last longer.
Yep, it does.
But my best thing about Tupperware is because I'm an organized person.
Little OCD, that's okay.
A little
Everybody needs
just
a little
OCD.
Just a little.
The labeling. When you guys came up with the labeling, you came with
And
the
that,
labeling.
because of my architectural background, is one of my strongest points in Tupperware.
Oh
I
my
do
God.
free custom kitchen planning. There's no charge for my service to
Oh my
measure it all
God.
out. I have graphs, I have the whole thing.
Oh my
The
God.
charge is what pieces you need to buy.
Yes.
And if you're smart, you have a party and you get the pieces
Get the
free.
pieces for free.
Because why would you pay for something that the company's going to give you for free?
I may be having a party soon.
Well, you know I'll treat you like gold.
I may be having a party soon.
It's just a fabulous company.
So the thing is, that labeling was priceless.
Yeah.
Because I got to teach my kids to read.
Yes, you
with
can
that
teach them to
labeling.
read that way
And
very
then
much.
I
And
think
they can learn to put the labels
They
on.
put the
too.
labels on.
I taught my daughter math. When the boxes would come in, she'd count how many, and
Oh,
she'd
that's
do
so
my
cool.
change. And,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
it's a family business.
And you didn't know back then that you could hire her in your business and pay her up to the standard deduction.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. When my daughter was 12, she
Uh-huh.
came to me. She's very, very smart.
I know.
And she came to me and said, I want to sell Tupperware. I
Oh.
said, you're 12. She said, well, I want to go to theater school this summer.
And I need money.
How much is the theater school? It was way like $2,000 or something. At that point, I could say like $10,000.
Yes, now.
I said, that's more than is my summer budget, you know, for camp or
Camps,
whatever else. She said, well, if I sell Tupperware, then I can make money. I said, who are you going to sell Tupperware to? She said, well, Daddy's relatives that you don't sell to, or my friends' mothers. I'm like, okay. She said, you don't sell to all of them. She
Look
said,
at those
even
market-
some of
look
my
at the market.
teachers.
Look at the market.
I said, okay, so how are you going to get around? She said, well, when you leave for your party at night, you can drop me off, and then I'll have one of the moms drop me home.
I love this
She
girl.
said, when I'll get home, I'll do my homework before my party. I said, okay, we'll give it a shot. She made her money. She went to her theater school. She loved it. By the time I went back to school, theater school was over. So now we have my godchild. Fast forward. She's 17 years old. She's looking for a job in the mall. It's like $4 an hour
Oh,
they're
yeah,
paying.
no.
Okay, and she needs a car.
So what
So I
happened?
come home from work one night when I had the distributorship in Brooklyn, and my godchild and she are like, can we talk to you? Sure. What's up? My godchild was a manager in my distributorship. She said, well, we have a plan. We have a plan
Yeah,
together?
yes.
Okay, this sounds dangerous. Okay. She said, I'm going to recruit Serene, and then I'm going to promote her, and she'll be a manager, and then she'll have a company car. And I'm like, okay. They're like, listen, you do it for perfect strangers. Why not for us? Okay, they got me there.
I'm curious.
I'm doing
what
it for
are the
perfect
ages?
strangers.
What are the ages?
She was 17. Now you have to be 18.
Okay.
But my daughter got promoted, and then when you got promoted, you got a company car that night.
Oh my
So
God.
she had a Dodge Caravan. We had matching Dodge Caravans in the driveway. while her friends were making $4 an hour at the
Yes,
mall, and their
yes,
parents were
yes,
worried that they were at the mall,
yes.
my daughter was going to people's houses and making $450 a week. And every time I got a lead for Manhattan, she was a Manhattan kid.
Okay.
I sent her to Manhattan.
Okay.
People would come to my office, like actresses would call our line and go, "We need some Tupperware." My daughter would take the order.
Oh my
And she'd take
God.
care of it. And her
That is
boyfriend
so
would bring it
cool.
out to the car for them.
Yes.
He'd get $100 tip.
Yes.
This was like,
Yes, this was smart. I
Like-
love this.
she worked for a graphics agency. She did Tupperware parties for them because they were all into the colors of
Colors,
Tupperware
yes,
and the
yes,
shapes
yes,
and everything.
yes, yes.
I was in several newspaper articles on the front page, even the Palm Beach Post in the accent section.
Okay.
They piled up all the Tupperware. They had me bring boxes and
Yes.
they piled it up and talked all about my career and the product
Oh
and
my
everything.
God.
So from the girl that couldn't talk, let me tell you.
So when I tell you this woman's got a wealth of information, I did not know this story about
No,
your
how much
goddaughter.
time can we spend? We only met each other
Your
a few days ago.
Your goddaughter and your daughter. That is, I like that. Because it gave me a flashback. I was laughing because my younger son wanted to go to this prestigious private school. And so he had all the boys that he played basketball with that were attending that school, planning on attending that school that year.
Right.
And one of them was already at the school to have a meeting with me. So I come home and they had
And
just
they
had
were
basketball
waiting.
practice, and there was 4 smelly boys in my living room because they had just came from basketball practice. Miss Sterling, we'd like to talk to you. We have a proposition. I'm like, oh Lord, we're in
Proposition,
trouble. I'm like, what's going on?
But-
You guys need food? What's going on? And then they gave me their plan, and I'm like, well,
When you look back now, aren't you happy?
I'm very, very, very happy. I'm
Right.
elated.
Right.
Because they stayed with him, they supported him, because he wasn't going to the school as a stranger. He already had
Exactly.
4
And
friends.
that's nice when you
He already
have,
had
you know,
4 friends.
comrades.
Yes.
You know, will look out for him.
Yes,
And
and we were among all, like you said, you weren't the richest person, but you're living in a rich neighborhood. That was my case.
Right.
And plus being a different skin color too, so that made
Oh, are
it
you
a different
different?
thing.
Oh, I didn't
am,
notice.
yeah. You notice my nails?
I noticed
They're
your
green and
nails.
blue, right?
I didn't notice because you can't really tell what my skin color is, can you? I told you my Florida story.
Yes, yes, yes. So, but I'm so grateful and thankful for you and your time.
And me,
Your time is
you.
precious.
This is so exciting.
Isn't
I'm
that
so happy and grateful that you invited me.
So I'm looking forward. We're gonna talk off camera to schedule a time
Yes.
when I can throw my party.
Yeah,
We can.
I'll
You guys
take
can come
really good
over.
care of you.
Yes, and
And
you'll
you'll-
tell me what I need to do because I haven't
It's super
done
easy.
in a long time.
Super
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look into your camera. Tell everybody your name. Tell
Jo-ANN De
everybody your
Lorenzo.
business.
My
And how can
business
they
is
reach you?
Tupperware. Should I give them my number?
You
my
can give
email,
your number,
whatever?
your email, whichever one you're
Okay.
safe with.
I
you're
feel
comfortable
I
with.
feel safe with all of this because
Okay.
my number's everywhere. My
Okay,
phone
good.
number is 561-358-0430. That's my cell. It's usually in my pocket. Okay? And my email, if you want to go on to my website,
Yes.
is my favorite color is pink. I wore blue for the camera.
I know.
But twpinkmom.com. You go on there, you'll see an open party, Jo-ANN De Lorenzo's party. You can go into shop now, and you can look and see what's available. And today, we lowered the price with holiday time coming up. Instead of raising it, we lowered it at some of our best kids items. We're shipping really quickly. You will love it, okay? And we still, and this most people don't know, we still replace anything chipped, cracked, peeled, or broken for lifetime.
Yes.
You do not need a receipt.
Yes.
The Tupperware item on the seal, it says Tupperware, that's your receipt. Don't
Yes.
throw it away.
Yes.
Because I do need a picture of the broken item.
Yes.
And I'm the best parts replacement person you'll ever meet. I'm the best kitchen organizer you'll ever meet. And I'm not being conceited. I'm that
No,
because I
you're
know the
good.
company sends everybody to me.
Yes.
So,
because you're that good and you're
you
that
know,
fabulous.
And I would love to be able to take care of you and your families and help you save money and make money at the same time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That was Jo-ANN De Lorenzo.
I like how you say my name, too.
You are watching, you're streaming, you're listening to 4Jazz Sports TV. This is Real Talk with DERLINE Pierre-LOUIS. I am so honored to have been able to spend this time with you.
And I'm honored to be here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, have a great day on purpose.
bookkeeping, payroll, taxes. When these critical business services are well managed, you'll better manage your workload. At Economic Solution Services, our firm provides top-notch professional accounting services, business consulting services, and back-end management to small business owners. Whether you're a sole proprietorship, corporation, or nonprofit, call us for high-level customer service, guaranteed results, competitive pricing, and a dynamic business relationship. Schedule your free consultation today.